Whenever you're writing or reading something, you may come across words which you don't know the meaning of, or the exact meaning of. And especially if you write in a language that is not your native language. And for this, you might need a dictionary. And normal, like physical dictionaries are very bulky, very heavy, very unpractical, because you have to kind of sift through them, like it takes forever. And yeah, so you want a digital dictionary most of the time. And this is what I'm going to show you in this video. So I'm going to show you how to set up a offline dictionary for your Linux box, whatever you're using, whatever kind of distro you're using, and yeah, how to use it from the terminal, like in this case right here. So I have the dictionary entry for dictionary, pulled up, and I will also show you how to use it in Emacs, like this, for example. So this is the same dictionary entry for the word dictionary, and this is now in Emacs. And I will show you both. And for this, I will first show you how to set up the dictd program, or the dict daemon. And I will show you this on Alpine. And for Alpine, there's no pre-packaged, so there's no package for this to simply install it. So I will compile it from source and set up an openrc service by hand. If you're on Arch or Debian or Ubuntu or distros like that, you probably have it in your package repositories, and you also probably have dictionaries in your package repositories pre-packaged. So all you really have to do on, for example, Debian is type apt install or sudo apt install dictd. But yeah, you can probably figure that out. And if you want to compile it from source, yeah, this is what I'm going to show you in this video. So I have compiled a list of steps. So first I will compile it. Then I will I will install it and set up the service. Then I will show you how to get dictionaries, because this is not actually that obvious and that well documented, I found. And if you're on Debian or something like that, or Arch, you will have most of the dictionaries you will want to use pre-packaged already. But I will show you how to actually find them on the internet. And then at the end, I will show you the usage. And I will have timestamps if you want to skip forward. So again, if you can just install it to your package manager, you probably don't need to watch the compile and install and service sections, and maybe also not the get dictionary sections. But yeah, I will leave that to you to decide. All right. So yeah, I mean, let's just get started with the compilation. So I will switch to my browser. I have the GitHub repository of dictd already open. So this is a client-server software, human language dictionary databases. So yeah, and it is conforming to the RC 2229. So this is kind of a standard for how to, which defines the dict protocol. So this is for dictionaries again. All right, and yeah, this is written in C, as you can see here. And I mean, it's really quite straightforward. Oops, as I have compiled here. So on Alpine, you will need the following packages: this mkconfigure, then also mkconfigure dev, and then libmar dev. And you will also need, like, for example, GCC and also Git, of course, to clone this repository. And yeah, but you probably have Git and GCC or a C compiler installed already. So let's just get started. Git clone, and then we will cd into this. This I already have installed, so these packages, I don't need to reinstall them. And this make configure is, I think, an alternative to like the GNU auto configure tools, if I'm not mistaken. And then we simply run mkcmake. So let's run this, and I will skip forward to when this is done. Alright, so it's done. If I now ls, you will see a bunch of files, especially like these mkc variable something files. I don't know what these are for. Yeah, so this is kind of weird, but whatever. So there are two directories we actually care about, and these are this dict directory. This is for the client software, and this dictd. This is for the server, so for the daemon. So if we look at dict, we will see the source files, and then the screen file right here is the actual binary. So this is the compiled binary you will run. And if we look at dictd, we will see the same thing, and again here the final binary. All right, so that's it for compilation. Next up, installation. So there is you can run mkcmake with install, but this will install a bunch of stuff. This will install, for example, man pages, which you might not need. Like I'm on Alpine, like there are no man pages by default. And this also installs the files in like kind of weird locations I have found. So for example, it will put these binaries in, I think, what is it, user, local, it's some weird stuff. Or the configuration will be put in user local etc. And we will actually use this. No, we won't use this. So yeah, it's just kind of weird. So I didn't install it like that. What I rather did was just copy the binaries by hand. So I will copy the dictd, so the daemon. I will copy to user sbin. So let's do that. Do as that. And the normal dict binary, so the client software, I will copy to user local bin. And I think these are like sensible locations. So if I now, yeah, these are now in my path. If I tab complete that, or if I try to tab complete that. All right. Next up, I will set up the service. So for this, it's good practice to have a dedicated user for the daemon that the daemon will run as. So I have added a group with add group -s. This is a system group, so not a user group, but a system group. And then the name is dictd. And then I've added a user which has no home directory. I don't know if this is necessary because this is also a system, like a system user. And I think system users by default don't have a home directory, but I just added this flag. And then this capital G flag is to specify a group. And the group is dictd, which we added in the previous step. So yeah, just run that, and then you will have the dictd user and the group. All right. Next up, I will set up the openrc service. And I have copied this from the Gentoo wiki, or not from the wiki, but from their package for dictd. So if you're on Gentoo, you can also install it through the repositories because it's packaged nicely. And if I switch to that, so this is the wiki, the wiki entry, and dictd is a server implementing the dict protocol, allowing clients to search dictionaries. Okay, great. And if you scroll down, you will see how to use it with openrc. So there is an openrc service installed. And if you now go to this one right here, we will be taken to the package entry. So this other one was the wiki entry, and this is now the package. And if you then click on, where is it, Git repository browser, you will be taken to this Git repository for the actual package. And this now holds all the relevant files we need. So there is an ebuild file. So this is just a kind of build file for Gentoo packages, and then there's this files directory, and this is actually what we care about. And I've already opened all these files in new tabs, but let's just go through it. All right, so if you open up this files directory, you will again see a bunch of stuff. So these are all patches. This we don't really care about. Then there is this service file. This is an systemd service file. So if you open this up, this will show you systemd because Gentoo also supports systemd. Yeah, I mean, if you use systemd, you can copy this if you have also compiled it from source like I have. And all the other files we care about are in this 1.10.11 directory. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. All right, and in here we will now find the configuration file for the daemon, the configuration file for the program itself, and the initialization file for the daemon. So first up, let's look at the initd. And this is now an openrc service file. And what I've done is I have just copied this, like literally gone in here and like with my cursor copied all of this. I mean, you can download it in any way you want to. And I mean, there may be some stuff in here that's not very accurate. I don't know how accurate, this should also work. But for example, up here, it tells you, so if there's an error, it will tell you, here, please emerge at least one of appdict, so some Gentoo package, which of course doesn't apply here, but whatever. Like, it's functional, and yeah, that's what counts. So what I have done, let me do this. What I have done is I have created a new file in initd and then dictd. And I've simply copied all the contents I just highlighted in the browser into here. So this is the exact same file. So yeah, there's not really much to look at, and there's also nothing to change. And this is kind of what I meant by copy from, and then dictd.initd should be put into initd dictd. All right, next up is the configuration file for this initialization file. God damn. So that's dictd conf d. And I have now again copied this, and put it into etc confd and then dictd. But for this I have changed one line, and that is this line right here. I've commented this out and added this line instead, because by default the dict daemon, so dictd, the program, will look for its default configuration in user, I think it was like user local etc or some weird stuff like that. It will look into there and then maybe dictd or something, look into there for its configuration, but we don't have that. We want it in etc dict dictd.conf, and I will show you in a second what to put in this file. So we need to specify this with the C flag. Alright, again, then we specify the configuration path, and then we also specify the path where all our dictionary files, like the actual files which hold all the data, will be located at, and that is user share dict. And I mean, you could theoretically put this anywhere, but I think this is a good location. Alright, next up is the actual configuration file for the daemon. And be careful, this is now dictd.conf, and the configuration file for the initialization script for the openrc service was dictd-confd. This is what I have kind of highlighted with these stars here. Alright, and I've also here mentioned my replacement. Alright, and for this first up, you will need to create a etc dict directory. So just make that. So make the etc dict, yeah. But I've already done that, of course. And if we now look at this file, we will see that this is the same as with, have I opened it? Yeah, so it's the same as this one right here. So I have again just copied all of this and pasted in here. So pretty straightforward. And so if I can speak, one cool thing with the Gentoo initialization file is that it will automatically add all your dictionaries which are located in this user share dict path. It will add here. So you will not, like in the default configuration file in the browser, there's nothing after this last line. But right here in my configuration file, there are these two dictionary entries, because I have these two dictionaries in this path, and the Gentoo script automatically added them. So if I again look at the initialization file, you can see that, where is it? So right here, it looks at all the .index files, and then it complains if there are none, it complains and tells you, well, you need to install one, at least one. But otherwise, it will add them all to this configuration file. So yeah, this is what's happening here. So it's echoing all of the stuff in this configuration file, and it has created a temporary configuration file, all this kind of stuff. I mean, you can go through this and kind of figure out the logic if you want to, but yeah, this is really handy. So, and if I now look at this user share dict, you will see that I have 4 files, 2 for each dictionary. So 1 index file and 1 for the actual data. All right. So yeah, this was this last step. Next up, I want to show you, or rather, one thing I want to mention is, which will be relevant when we go further on. There's also a dict.conf, and this is now a client configuration file. But this doesn't really hold any relevant information. And if you put this, well, it does hold relevant information. It configures the default servers, so which servers will be used. So the first server it will try is localhost, and the second server it will try is dict.org. And so this is a public dictionary server you can also use. But this is, I mean, we want to self-host our stuff, of course, and want to have it offline. So, and private and secure and whatnot. So I have not added this because one thing is also that if you add it into etc dict, it will not work, because the dict program is configured, or by default doesn't look in this directory, but looks in user local etc or something like that. So, but I will show you when we get to usage. All right, so that's it for setting up the service. Now we only need to get directories. Not get directories, get dictionaries. And for this, I have linked here 2 websites. So one is freedict.org, and the other one is the Debian package site, because again, Debian has a lot of dictionaries nicely packaged, and I will show you how to get those as well. But first, freedict.org. If we go to this site right here, so this is freedict.org. I mean, we can go to the home. So free dictionaries, free knowledge, nice. And they provide high quality dictionaries for free, yeah, for you to download. So they have this downloads page. And first up, they list like StarDict. I think this is another program which can serve dictionaries. And then something else, and then dictd. So this is what we care about. And it already says that if you're running a Debian Ubuntu derivative or Arch, the free dict packages are already available in your package manager. If not, use the downloads below. So for us, for Alpine, they are not packaged, so we can use this downloads thing. First, we need to pick a language. Let's, for example, pick English. And then it will list a bunch of directories, bunch of dictionaries. And yeah, I mean, these are dictionaries. For example, from Arabic to English, or from English to Chinese, and so on and so forth. So yeah, and if you click on one of them, you will download as you can see down here, a tar.xz. XZ, yeah. So an archive file. And I will show you in a second how that looks. Oh, no, I will show you right now how it looks. Okay, so let's, for example, download English Latin, because why not? I will not download this through my browser now. I mean, again, you can, but it doesn't really matter. And then we can create let's just do it like that. So I've created a temporary directory, and I will now simply wget this file. If I now this, I have this freedict English Latin version number .tar gzip. No, not gzip, xz. I don't know what that stands for. What's that abbreviation of? So I can now unpack this by calling tar xvf. So if we unpack this, we get this new directory, English Latin, which now has 4 files. This copying and this install we don't really care that much about. These 2 files are the relevant ones, like these we care about. So what you now want to do is you want to copy these. So English Latin, and then we can just specify star to user share dict. Yeah, copy these here, and if I now ls this directory again, they will be there, of course. So here they are. And yeah, I will first show you how to also add a dictionary from the Debian repositories. And then I will show you how the Gentoo magic works, which automatically adds all the dictionaries. Alright, so if you go to Gentoo, not Gentoo, goddammit, Debian, but I guess with the Gentoo packages it should work as well. So, because something I have not found is this gsite directory, and this is a comprehensive English dictionary, and this is from the GNU project, and so this is only for English words. So it doesn't translate from one language to another, but only shows you the definition of English words with like examples and stuff like that. And I've not found this in the freedict, on the freedict website, because it's not a freedict thing. And I've also, like, there are other sites, also GNU sites, which serve this, but it was kind of weird because they serve other files than in this format that you expect and stuff like that. So I decided to just get it from the Debian package. And Debian kind of doesn't link their actual like files. At least maybe I just haven't found it. But yeah, so I just searched for it online. Oh, and here I'll show this in a second. If you search for it online, you will find this packages.org site, pkgs.org, and it has all of the information for a lot of packages. And if you, for example, so I'm now on this gsite, on this page for this gsite package, which I just looked at on the Debian page. And you can now scroll down, and there they actually have the FTP, like the actual .deb file served from gentoo.org. So to now download this, I can simply wget it again. And this will take a bit longer because this file is a bit larger. And then I will unpack this .deb file and install the packages just as we did with the other thing. Oh, and something again I want to show you is if you go to, so if you click, where is it? Here. So this is kind of the packages. Then we want the latest, which is for Trixie, I think it's called. And then we want text. So if you click on this, you will be taken to a like overview site. And if you now search for dict hyphen, you can kind of go through all the dictionaries that are packaged with Debian. So yeah, this is very nice. And you can apply this kind of schema for all of them to get whichever you want. So, but again, you can also, I mean, most of these are like from freedict, so you can also just get them from freedict and not have to deal with the .deb thing. But some aren't, like for example, GCite or Jargon or VARA, Dictionary of Computer-Related Acronyms. So yeah, that's how you can get these. And so this download has finished. We now need to unpack this .deb. So what I will do is I will create a new directory because this .deb doesn't, like it has no directory structure. Whoops. All right. And now I will call arx. This is to unpackage .deb files. And if I now ls, we have again the .deb, which we just downloaded. Then we have this file Debian binary. I don't know what this is about. Then we have control.tar. This also I don't think we care about. And what we care about is data.tar.exe. If we untar that, now we have a directory structure. And this directory structure now includes our files that we need, .dict, .dz, and .index. So these two are the ones we actually care about. And what we can now do, and the rest we don't really care about, like in this case. What we can now do is just copy these, so share dictd, and then copy these two to our user share dict. So yeah, and I have already done that, so I won't redo it. I mean, I can, whatever. I mean, they're the same files. So yeah, if we now ls that again, so let's ls that, we see we have these two, which we copied in the previous from freedict. These are also from freedict, so these two right here, German to English, then English to Latin, and then we have this GCite dictionary. Okay, nice. To now restart or start the service, so these dictionaries actually get picked up, we can call rc service and then not like this, dictd, and then restart. And we need to run this as root. All right, 3 dictionaries found. So before I recorded this, there were only 2, and now there are 3. And if we now look at the actual confd dictd, we will now also see, not this one, sorry, in the dictd.conf, and go down here, we will actually see that there are now 3 dictionaries, not directories, 3 dictionaries. So yeah, very nice. All right. So we have now installed the daemon. Now we want to actually like query some word. Like we don't know the meaning of some word. We have found some word we don't know like what it means, or we want to translate something into another language. How do we do this? We do it with the dict binary, or with the dict program, which I installed earlier. So, and if I go here, so yeah, this is all the stuff I just talked about. And like this. So yeah, this is also what I just showed you, rc service, dictd, and then start, stop, restart, whatever you want. This is for openrc again. And from the shell, we can now use the dict program like this. So we call dict, I mean, I can make this bigger. And then we have to specify the host. And this is now where what I said earlier comes into play. So again, this dict program also looks for a configuration file, but it looks in user local etc something. And I mean, this is not really a standard directory. So if you put your configuration file into etc dict and then dict.conf as the Gentoo guys recommend, I think, this will not work. I mean, again, maybe it works on Gentoo because they have patched the file or whatnot, but by default this will not work. And then you will have to specify the path to the configuration file, which is kind of, yeah, so you have to specify something either way. So I'd rather just specify the local host instead of having an extra configuration file and then having to specify the location of that. I hope that makes sense and you understand what I'm getting at. Alright, so we specify localhost because we have a daemon running on localhost. We don't need to specify the port because this port is standardized. So it just runs on the standard normal dict port, and yeah, that's it. So yeah, if we now run this, this will query the word from the daemon that's running. So let's run it, and so let's type this into less. So it has found 4 definitions, and it looks in every dictionary for this word. So for example, the first result here is from the English Latin freedict dictionary, which we installed. It is for word, and word in Latin means verbum or vocabulum. I don't think I'm pronouncing it right. Okay. So next up is from the dictionary, so G side, from the Collaborative International Dictionary of English. And here you can find a definition of of the word word. So the spoken sign of a conception or an idea, an articulate or vocal sound, blah, blah, blah. All this kind of stuff. And I mean, these pages are really long from this Webster dictionary. So it gives you a lot of examples. It gives you a lot of like, yeah, definitions and stuff like this. So this is very, very nice. So yeah, we can scroll down and then we will see other entries. So there can also be multiple entries in one dictionary. All right. So this is nice and all, but what if we only want to query one dictionary in particular? And I've also added this here. So if we only want to look for the word word, for example, in the G-side dictionary, we can specify this with the lowercase d flag. So this will now only look into G-side and not look into the Latin dictionary, and also not in the German English dictionary which I've installed. So this will now only find 3 definitions. And we can also, like, let's look into English Latin only. So this will only show us this English Latin definition. All right, very nice. What if you don't know all the dictionaries that are installed? You can list them with the capital D flag. So like this, and this will now list all your dictionaries. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. And again, if you look up a word that's, so let's, for example, look up a German word. Let's look up the word Wort, which means word. We will find an entry from the German to English dictionary. So yeah, and I mean, these are, you can already see these are kind of structured differently, kind of. So for example, this has a lot of examples. The Latin one only had like the actual words. This also has like kind of words that are similar. So for example, here the plural of the German word for word, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's how you use it from the shell. Okay, and finally I want to show you how you can use this from Emacs. So for Emacs, you first up need to, and you don't need to install any additional packages, which is very nice. You only need to set the dictionary server to localhost to actually use your local dict daemon. So you do this with setq dictionary server localhost. Pretty simple. And then you can do mx dictionary. And why is this here 2 times? So you can do mx dictionary. And if I do this, it will open up this new window. And in here I can now, oh, and let me turn on screen key so you can see which keys I'm hitting. And let's delete this. All right. And here you can now, let's make this bigger. You can now navigate around very easily by hitting N and P. So this will not, so this is kind of particular to this kind of major mode. So it jumps to these different buttons. And if you now hit a button, for example, this search definition, if we now hit enter, it will query us for a word down here. So we can again look for the word word, and it will then show us the definition. All right, so this is the same as with, when we ran from the terminal. So this is the same output, of course, because we're querying the same daemon. So yeah, pretty straightforward. You can also run mx dictionary search to search for a word, and it will then query you for something. And we can, for example, look up the word dictionary in our dictionary. And here we can already see why Emacs is nice in comparison to the shell, because we have these links here. So these are in blue in my color scheme. And if I now press N, it will jump to the next link. And again, N to the next one, and so on and so forth. And if I now hit enter, for example, on diction, it will then look up the word diction. So this is very nice. Yeah. I also have where was it? Right here. I also have some key bindings. So for example, there's also this function dictionary lookup definition. And if we, for example, type say and then run dictionary lookup definition, it will look up the definition of the word that's at point. So our cursor is right here, so it will look up the word before that. Or if we are on that, it will look up also say, I think. So yeah, and then we can look at the word. And I've now bound this to Control-C, Control-D. I mean, you can bind this to whatever. I just bound it to Control-C, Control-D. And I have globally set it, but I noticed that org mode overrides the setting, so I've also set it for org mode map. So I'm now in org mode in this file, and this now works here. So if I close this and now press Control-C, Control-D, it will open up this dictionary page. Yeah, it's dictionary page. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to show, I think. For example, we could also do this, and then it will look at keyboard. So yeah, this is very handy. I think, especially if you're like reading something in Emacs or writing something in Emacs and you're not quite sure, you can simply hit the keys and then it will open up the dictionary file or the dictionary entry. And you can also, I mean, there's a lot more stuff, of course. You can configure this however you want. I mean, the dictionary functionality in Emacs is, I think, quite complete. So you can, for example, of course, also, I mean, the buttons here already said it, select dictionary or select match strategy or matching words to find matches for a pattern. So you can also kind of fuzzy find, I guess, and stuff like this. So yeah, I mean, if you use this, if you need this a lot in your workflow, you can probably figure it out and figure out all the details. I just wanted to show you that it's possible and some basics how to get started. So yeah, I think that was pretty much all I wanted to say. So I showed you how to compile it, how to set up a daemon, how to actually get dictionaries, and how to use it, how to use the daemon, how to use the dict client from the shell and also from within Emacs. So yeah, I think that was pretty much it. I hope I haven't missed anything, and if so, I will leave a comment. And yeah, that's it. Have a nice day.